What's up, guys? Crypto Muser here with your daily news and analysis in the crypto markets. So today we are basically back where we were last Saturday, right? I mean, we had a wild week, obviously. Bitcoin went up about $6,000 in a day and a half, testing that $45,000 mark, 4 or 5 times basically until we got rejected hard. And now we're basically, like I said, back at that $39,000, $40,000 level that we were last weekend. Just as we, gained that $6,000 within a day and a half, all it took was about a day and a half to erase all those gains again. So, I mean, obviously, it is the most volatile market in the world for a reason. I do think that it has more to do with the geopolitical issues going on around the world. That there's just too much fear still in the markets, right? We saw some wild moves in all markets in the last couple of days. We saw commodities, gold and silver, moving up with the dollar yesterday, which is, you usually don't see that, right? Usually you'll see, if people are afraid of the dollar, they get into commodities, right? Not commodities and the dollar moving up together as Bitcoin and the stocks went down. So obviously there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. That's what that means to me. You saw oil go through the roof. You saw, things like wheat and soy go through the roof. Right now, I just believe fear is leading this market. Once that fear subsides a little bit, I think you'll see a rebound in the markets finally. Bitcoin, like I said, tried to break that $45,000 level about 4 or 5 times, and then finally got a big rejection there. But I still think that we will break above that $45,000 level and continue on in this retrace back up to 58 to 60,000. But in the meantime, obviously, we're kind of on a day-to-day thing, like I've been saying, with this geopolitical issue or issues around the world. XRP today, I must say, is the one coin that is in the green. It's up almost 3.5%. That's 76 cents. It just seems like, and I've been mentioning this again and again in the last couple of videos, that XRP kind of has that extra muscle behind it in the last week or so due to the obviously the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, and that could be settling any day now. Really, at this point, expert discovery is over, so they could be in talks right now about a settlement. So you're seeing a little more momentum around XRP than other coins right now, and I believe that will continue, especially because you'll probably get a movement in XRP before the settlement actually comes down. So definitely keep your eye on XRP in the coming weeks. But for right now, Bitcoin, like I said, we need to get back above 40,000 here and then break that $45,000 mark here and really push our way back up to that 50,000, 55,000 to really get this retrace for Bitcoin going. But in the video today, I have obviously some updates with the XRP versus SEC or Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. But I have a couple other things I want to talk about. But before I do, if you guys could please like and subscribe and leave comments down below, be very much appreciated. But let's get right into it. So the first thing I have here is that Gary Gensler was on, I forget what the show is, but it's so Jon Stewart. If you obviously guys know who Jon Stewart is, he was the host at on the Daily Show and Comedy Central for years. He has this new show where he interviews politicians, CEOs of companies, and they talk about, certain geopolitical subjects. I thought this was a pretty good interview with Gary Gensler, the SEC chair, where he kind of pushes him on, why hasn't the government really gone after these, financial criminals in the past? And that he even mentions that I think the only 2 people that were actually prosecuted were, Martha Stewart and Bernie Madoff. And it's good to see, Gary kind of squirm there, because it seems like when he gets asked some tough questions there, he really has no answer for it. But at one point, this is the only clip, I'm not going to show you the whole interview, but this one clip I want to show you is that Gary Gensler kind of gets asked about, how he's using the way he's using enforcement actions as a way to regulate the markets. And he says that, we might lose some cases and that might be okay. And it's funny that all of a sudden, a couple weeks back, he said that, the SEC doesn't lose cases. But all of a sudden, when this Ripple case is coming to the end where it looks like the SEC is definitely going to lose this case, Obviously, all of a sudden you're seeing Gary Gensler a little less confident in saying that, we might lose some cases, but that still would be good for all-around regulation for the SEC. So let's just hear this quick snippet of the interview, and then we'll get into it.
To litigate, this agency has to be willing to go into court and take some losses from time to time, but go into court.
Right.
I think all of those things, but it's trying to use high-profile cases to bring folks back on the right side of the line.
I mean, Ripple versus SEC must, it's definitely one of the most high-profile crypto cases going on right now, for sure. It's just funny seeing him all of a sudden a little less, confident there about this case. And then we had Brad Garlinghouse, who was on Fox Business right after, it was a couple hours after this interview that Gary Gensler gave with Jon Stewart. And let's just hear what Brad Garlinghouse has to say. And I must say, Brad Garlinghouse is, in any interview I've seen him give out in the past, he's always been very confident, with Ripple and everything, with business, for sure. But in this interview, he definitely looks more confident than ever. And it just seems like this case is coming to an end, and that, Ripple will move forward with business in, the next coming weeks to months. But let's hear this interview real quick.
Inappropriate activity.
Listen, it's the same with the U.S. dollar. Appropriate activity, inappropriate activity. Joining us now on the set, CEO of leading enterprise blockchain company Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. Yes, of course, Ripple, related to XRP. Brad would know a thing or two about this, along with Charlie Gasparino.
I know nothing. He knows everything.
I know nothing. What do you make of what Powell said? He kind of gave it to both sides.
What did he say, though? Did he say anything?
It's not entirely clear. By the way, I do want to start by just saying that I and the team at Ripple feel so strongly about standing with the people of Ukraine, and I just want to put that out there.
Sure.
But my comment as I listen to some of the things I hear out of Washington is just I fear that there's a lack of knowledge. There's a lack of information about how crypto really works. And I think it does a disservice to responsible actors like Ripple, who are working with governments, with sanctions. Everything that is enforced from a sanction point of view through fiat currency, anything that Ripple does is enforced in the exact same way. And so there's no different level playing field. And I think in some ways I heard Senator Warren saying things yesterday that felt like it's holding crypto to a different standard and expecting, for example, a blanket ban of all crypto in some of these countries in a way that you can still use PayPal, you can still use these, some of these other things, and I don't think we should treat them differently.
Ripple is like Swift, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, Ripple's starting point, kind of our first use case for the technology, the blockchain technology, and the digital asset XRP was to solve that cross-border payments problem.
Right.
Swift is quite antiquated, kind of designed 50 years ago. It's slow, it's expensive, but it is a choke point that the governments use to enforce sanctions. My point is, nothing that Ripple is doing circumvents any of that.
So you're following the sanctions exactly? Like, for example, it's like, 8 banks, but a couple can still trade through it theoretically?
Correct. The sanctions are applied through what I'll call the choke points, the on-ramps and off-ramps. That's true for Swift, that's true for Ripple. Regardless of what I'll call just the plumbing of how things are moving, the choke points are the endpoints. So I think, when I step back and look at this, I think there is a lack of knowledge. I think people need to understand that crypto isn't this kind of black box. It's kind of back from when it was known as Silk Road. The industry has come a long way.
So an oligarch, or let's just say Vladimir Putin, couldn't finance tanks through Bitcoin.
Look, one of the things that people don't realize is there's just not enough liquidity.
Yeah.
Russia used to trade pre-sanctions $50 billion of cross-border kind of transactions per day. Crypto does not have anywhere near that. So, look, in the same way that somebody could be taking wheelbarrows of rubles or the Ukrainian currency across to Poland and things, there are ways you could do that, but it's really not significantly dissimilar.
Why are they so obsessed with it then? It's so weird.
I think it's kind of clickbait. It's a hot item. I think people... It adds a relevance and excitement around some of these things, but I think people don't understand.
Well, we had spoken to Gary Gensler of the Securities and Exchange Commission. I know you saw that interview because we were emailing afterward about it, but he specifically tried to say that he wants to very much focus on what's a security and what is an actual token, a cryptocurrency. I feel like if that's the case and he's holding you to that standard, at some point he's going to have to go after Ether as well, because Ether and Ethereum are those two very similar paths, just like XRP and Ripple, are they not?
Look, I think that's absolutely true. I don't want to comment on what they should or shouldn't do. I think as it relates to Ethereum, my view is it's very clear Ethereum's a currency. It's very clear XRP is a currency, and that the SEC. I mean, he was interviewed yesterday. Gary Gensler was, or maybe it was even this morning, and commented that, hey, we're going to lose some cases. This is the definition of regulation by enforcement.
He was going to lose. You think he was saying he's going to lose your case?
I don't know what he was saying. I think but he did say, "Hey, we're going to lose some, and we're okay with that." That's
where
the definition.
Where are you on the case? Let's get an update.
The quick update: on Monday was the last day of expert testimony, expert depositions, etc. And so the case continues to move forward. We're expecting some decisions from the court, sooner rather than later, as it relates to a couple of decisions before the court. But look, it's moved slowly. I think Gary Gensler has continued to kind of go with a narrative that crypto is the Wild West. It's not the Wild West. Are there bad actors? Yes, there's bad actors in all parts
of... bad actors in money laundering in U.S. dollars.
I found it fascinating from reading the documents, for all the stuff they said about how bad it was that you did unregistered securities. They never say anything bad about your platform. Why is that? I mean,
and of course, well, the irony there is, we were in the SEC's offices. I met with Chairman Clayton. I was meeting with commissioners. No one ever once said, hey, we think XRP is a security. And then they look backwards and say, now we think it's all a security. That's a hard argument.
Please come back. Brad Garlinghouse.
That last thing he says there, I think, is the most important, when he says, I had meetings with Jay Clayton, with other commissioners at the SEC, and they never once mentioned that they thought XRP was a security. That's basically testimony in their case that, if you guys thought we were doing something illegal this whole time, why not tell us? Why all of a sudden, let us do business for 8.5 years, let obviously outside investors get involved with XRP for years, and then all of a sudden come down with a lawsuit out of nowhere, hurting, in the meantime, hurting hundreds of thousands of XRP investors all around the world. I mean, it makes no sense, right? And more you think about it. But I thought that interview really was great, just to basically get some, real info around crypto and everything going on with Russia. People saying that Russia can get around the sanctions using crypto. That's basically been argued against in the last couple of weeks now, where Russia cannot use crypto to really get around sanctions. There's just not enough liquidity there in crypto, and like Brad Garlinghouse was just talking about, those choke points, those on-off ramps, where you have to, convert that crypto into fiat or into other currencies. That's how governments and, regulators around the world can actually cut off Russia from getting, they can maybe get the money into crypto, but getting it out, that's where the problem would be, right? And also with crypto, everything is, transparent on the blockchain. So they can't really hide transactions anywhere. That's one of the great things about crypto, is that it's very it's all transparent, right? You can't hide transactions. So obviously bad actors or governments around the world that are trying to get around sanctions like this, they can't do it without people knowing. So I mean, it would basically be impossible for Russia and other bad acting countries around the world to use crypto to circumvent these sanctions. So I just thought that was a great interview. That like I said, Brad Garlinghouse always. You can always see the confidence behind him, but especially in this interview, you just can see that, he's ready for this case to be over, and that it seems like that case will be over soon enough. So when they were talking about money laundering and big banks using, have been money laundering for years, obviously they basically had the monopoly on money laundering and criminal activity. And it's funny that they try to use this argument against crypto, like all of a sudden, just since crypto has been invented, that's all of a sudden now they're using money laundering all the time now, and they weren't before, right? Well, look at just this chart that XRP Crow tweeted out. 6 largest Wall Street banks paid almost $200 billion for settlements and sanctions. Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo, and they say crypto is corrupt and bad. I mean, look at these numbers. I mean, 395 major legal actions and $195 trillion in sanctions and settlements. I mean, like I said, they've had the monopoly on criminal activity using the dollar Now all of a sudden, crypto is the bad, corrupt, and all us using crypto are all criminals, right? I mean, you can just tell this is a way to point the blame at us, and obviously, who really have been the bad actors for years? It's been the banks, right? So obviously, it's just a scare tactic to get people away from crypto, because these big banks know that they're going to lose a lot of money when crypto actually becomes mainstream, which it is slowly becoming more and more mainstream for sure in the last year. So saw this diagram and I was like, are you kidding me? This is how are you going to even try to say that crypto is being used for money laundering and for criminal activity when look at these numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. So another thing I want to talk about. So Gary Gensler, along these same lines, Gary Gensler posted this from. I'm sure Gary Gensler does not run this Twitter account, but the SEC put this out on behalf of him. That basically what this says is they're trying to tell people not to invest in these lending products that have to with crypto, because you could get too much 8 to 10% on your investment. That's obviously too good to be true, right? We want you guys to be putting your money in banks where you get little to no a percentage, right? I think it's like 0.001% that you get when you put money in banks. Meanwhile, they use your money and then they loan it out to someone else for 10% and they give you nothing. So it's like, why would you want to put your money into a lending product with crypto and actually make some money, or at least earn some of the profits that these banks, these banks make billions of dollars loaning your money out, and then they give you nothing in return. And then you have these lending products that actually will give you a part of the profit there by lending out your crypto. But no, those are bad actors, and they're trying to scam you. But meanwhile, the banks have been scamming you your whole life, but we should trust them, right? This is just going to show you that Gary Gensler is paid and owned by the banks, and they are afraid of crypto because these lending products will absolutely take money away from banks. So just another reason, and actually John Deaton says down here, the SEC chairman is protecting investors by discouraging crypto and directing investors and consumers to traditional banking system. So exactly, yeah, we're scared. They're basically scaring investors away from crypto where you can actually make some money, and telling them, oh, you should just put your money in banks, right? We've done this, with you guys for years. Your money's safe with us, and we will lend it out and make money. And meanwhile, due to inflation, you will lose money, and actually we will give you none of the profits. I mean, how can they even argue that putting your money in a bank is a good idea anymore, right? Especially due to inflation. By having your money in a savings account, you are losing money on a day-to-day basis due to inflation. And meanwhile, the bank is using your money to make money, and you are losing money. So what is the point in putting your money in the bank these days? And I actually love Lambo posted underneath John Deaton's tweet. I sleep easy at night knowing Gary is protecting me from making my own financial decisions, right? Like, Gary, it's our money. We can do what we want with it. Don't try to tell us how you think we should be doing with our money, right? This is where this government overreach is just too much, right? Like, you have gambling. Gambling is legal in most states around the country now. I mean, if people are allowed to use their money to gamble on, sports betting and all that, then, why shouldn't we be able to invest in whatever product we want, right? This is why it makes no sense to me. This is why that it's the banks, the big banks that are, behind all this. Moving on, though. So Digital Asset Investor actually had a comment on what John Deaton tweeted about Gary Gensler's tweet about, telling people to not use those lending products. And Digital Asset Investor tweeted out, yep, politicians and the Fed destroy our money to the point we get no interest at banks, and then they send Gary Gensler after crypto to kill any options for investors. This is what they call investor protection in the new United States of America, upside down land. So exactly what I was talking about, where it's, they basically destroy our dollar. So now due to inflation, we're losing, value that if we, are working our working our asses off on a daily basis to make these dollars, right? And then we put it in a bank, and then due to inflation, due to them printing this dollar into oblivion, we lose value of our dollar. And then when we actually have, a way of, gaining some interest and putting our dollars into something that will make money for us, for the average investor, you're going to try to, outlaw that? Like, give me a break. This makes no sense to me. It makes all the sense in the world that the SEC chair here is working on behalf of the banks. And, this is the exact reason why we need to stop the SEC and what they're doing. And this is why we know that, crypto is here to stay, because these banks are doing all they can to stop this technology. And but that ship has sailed, right? We know that, this technology is going to be growing even more in the coming, months and years. And there's nothing really the banks can do now is, either they join or they will get left behind. And that's the bottom line. So the next thing I want to talk about here is, so Eleanor Tourette is the business Fox Business reporter, and she's been very up to date on everything going on in this XRP lawsuit. But she tweeted this out yesterday. This stuff is very interesting, and just another reason why the SEC is dead wrong in this case. If XRP was a security, then you couldn't use it as a currency, right? Well, read this tweet here. We don't believe XRP is a security, so we're using it as a currency. And this is linked to Inc., who you can buy shares of companies and also crypto on their platform. But you can actually put it this way. I'm not even going to read the tweets. I'm just going to let you know what they're saying here, or what she's saying here is you can use XRP as a currency to buy shares of Ripple, the company. That just goes against everything that the SEC is trying to say that XRP is a security, and XRP is a security of Ripple, right? But Link2 lets you actually buy a security as Ripple stock, with XRP, a currency. So that just goes against everything the SEC is trying to say or paint XRP as. If it is a currency, then it cannot be a security, bottom line, right? So it's just great to see companies like Link2, showing and letting this happen, because obviously XRP is a currency. People use XRP. People get paid in XRP. People use XRP to move different currencies around the world. They actually use XRP to move. When I want to move cryptos from wallet to wallet, I'll transfer it to XRP because it moves in 3 to 5 seconds, and it costs costs you like less than a penny. So obviously there's many use cases for XRP, and not only Ripple uses XRP in their ODL platform for cross-border payments. So it's like, not only obviously Ripple uses XRP in their products, but without Ripple you can use XRP for so many different things, right? So it just goes against the whole argument that the SEC has that XRP is not is a security and doesn't have use case. I mean, XRP is you could argue that XRP is one of the main cryptocurrencies out there that have the most use cases of any crypto. It's been around for almost as just longer than Ethereum, and it had the first decentralized exchange on it. There's many use cases that, not only payments, but XRP can be used for a lot of different things. So just thought I'd show you this, because the whole argument that XRP has no use case and it's a security, it just goes to show that the SEC really has no case here. From day one, they've been trying to argue this, and it's just been crazy to think that they wouldn't even do a little research into other people actually using XRP for different use cases. It just shows you that the SEC is just so blatantly arrogant at this point, right? Just to think that Ripple will just lay over and settle this case right off the bat without a fight. Like I said, it goes to show you that the SEC really didn't do their homework before they came with this case against Ripple. And I know it's been a year and about 2 months now, but this case will end, and the SEC will pay the price coming after Ripple in this case. So moving on, though, digital asset investor posted this. Karma's a bitch. Consensus founder accused of $39 million of fraud involving JP Morgan. So if you guys don't know who the Consensus founder is, it is Joe Lubin, who is the co-founder of Ethereum. And I guess there's a lawsuit against Joe Lubin. And then look at this. There's even more showing here. Charles Hoskinson is the founder of Cardano. Well, he used to work for the Ethereum Foundation, before he started ADA, and he left, and no one really knew why he left. Well, you can tell why he probably left was probably because he thought Ethereum was going to, the founders of Ethereum were going to get, the law was going to come at them at some point, right? So now it's going to show that consensus lawsuit reveals JP Morgan owns critical Ethereum infrastructure. Basically, what they're saying now is that JP Morgan basically was backing Ethereum from day one. And no one knew. So everybody calling XRP the banker's coin, and it was most of the time it was Ethereum people. Well, guess what? You guys might be the original banker's coin. You can't make this shit up, guys. It's really unbelievable. But Charles Hoskinson tweeted this out. Just want to point out that JP Morgan does not own any critical Cardano infrastructure. I mean, got him, right? Due to this lawsuit, I believe there's going to be more and more lawsuits against Ethereum in the future here. And like I've said on this channel, I have nothing against Ethereum. I believe Ethereum, itself is a great platform. But the people behind Ethereum just did some shady shit. Let's be real. And it looks like it's starting to show their face here and all the criminal activity that they were pulling off here. And Joe Lubin, I must say, all the information will come out in the coming weeks on what he was doing. But like I said, karma's a bitch. It seems like he was the one. A lot of people within Ethereum were talking some crap about XRP in the Ripple lawsuit, but it seems like they're next after this Ripple case is over. But I will end the video there, guys. Just remember to please like, subscribe, and leave comments down below. But remember, I am not a financial advisor. Please do not take anything I write or say as financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. And thanks, guys, and we will see you on the next one.